What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. Now in today's video we're taking a look at all the new Trials of the 9 weapons. These have returned for Season 15. So in this video today we're going to take a look at every single one of them and all their god rolls. So if you want to find out how to get them and the sort of roles you should be seeking out, be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below. And remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. Just over 80% of the viewers of the channel aren't currently subscribed. So be sure to hit that red button and ring that bell to make sure you don't miss an update. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now upon the launch of Season 15, we had 6 new Trials of the 9 weapons added back to the game. These are exclusive to the Prophecy dungeon, with 2 weapons dropping from each encounter. So if you're looking to chase down and farm out a particular weapon, then for the Phalanx Echo, which is the first encounter in a dungeon, you can get your hands on the hand cannon and sniper rifle. For the Cube Room, upon completing that, you have a chance to get the auto rifle and the sidearm. And for the final boss encounter, the Kel Echo, this has a chance of dropping the pulse rifle and shotgun. So depending on what weapon you're chasing, be sure to hold those checkpoints for those particular encounters, so once you've had that weapon drop and it's unlocked in your loot pool, you'll be able to continuously grind that particular encounter to get the role that you want. So we know that the weapons are back and we know which encounters to get them from, but what sort of roles should we be seeking out on these weapons? And the first weapon we're going to take a look at is the A Swift Verdict. This is a legendary energy sidearm, and this one is a void element. Now this sidearm is a precision frame, so the weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical, and this has a rounds per minute of 260. Now there aren't too many precision frame sidearms currently available in Destiny 2 that aren't sunset, so this sidearm finds itself in an exclusive club when it comes to sidearms in the game. Now if we take a look at the weapon stats, the stats are fairly solid across the board, and it actually has one of the highest aim assist and recoil stats in the entire archetype, making this a very strong base weapon. Now all the Trials weapons have returned with random rolls and all have 6 individual perks in each column. Now the Swift Verdict doesn't have any of the new perks that were introduced this season, however there are some great perk combinations that make this a very strong weapon indeed. Now in the third column we have the choice of full auto trigger system, surplus, slide shot, killing wind, tunnel vision, and also threat detector. And in the fourth column you have wellspring, zen moment, disruption break, kill clip, surrounded, and also rangefinder. Now sidearms are most definitely a weapon you want in your arsenal, as they are fantastic at stunning unstoppable champions. Now in terms of preferred roles, you want to be looking for something like ricochet rounds or even extended mag in the magazine options. Ricochet rounds will boost that range by +5 and provide +10 to your stability, and extended magazine boosts your mag by +30 but has a -20 penalty to your reload speed. However, if you pair that with something like surplus or even threat detector, which both increase the handling, reload speed and stability of the weapon, one is when your abilities are fully charged and the other is when enemies are in close proximity. Both of those perks are very strong. They both provide similar benefits and can help counteract any deductions to your reload speed just by being in combat or having charged abilities. And a perfect partner to something like threat detector or even surplus is surrounded, and that's where the weapon gains bonus damage if 3 or more enemies are in close proximity too. You can add a surrounded spec mod as well on this weapon, making it a very potent weapon if you find yourself in the thick of the action. Now this weapon does roll with kill clip, but there aren't any perks that really help increase its reload speed, so it's with that in mind, surrounded would be the preferred choice here. But considering the perks on offer, if you have any god roll recommendations, be sure to sound off down in the comments below. Now the next Trials weapon we're taking a look at is the Sudden Death. This is an aggressive frame, hard hitting, high recoil shotgun where the rate of fire increases after a kill. Now this shotgun deals arc damage and fires at 55 rounds per minute. Now we've had a lot of arc weapons introduced this season, however this shotgun is the only aggressive frame arc shotgun that isn't currently sunset, so it finds itself in an exclusive club all on its own. Now in terms of base weapon stats, these are fairly average for aggressive frame shotguns pretty much across the board. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as there are some great perks on offer which can make a great PvP or PvE weapon. Now in terms of main legendary traits, in the third column you have the choice of slide shot, surplus, field prep, threat detector, pulse monitor, and even grave robber. And in the final column you have a choice between snapshot sights, 1-2 punch, surrounded once again, frenzy, wellspring, and elemental capacitor. Now if you're looking for a shotgun to take into the Crucible, then you most definitely want to be seeking out Assault Mag to improve that rate of fire, alongside Slide Shot and Snapshot Sights. Those perks alone are some of the strongest perks available on any shotgun when it comes to the Crucible, and will be the sort of role you should be seeking out when it comes to taking on fellow Guardians. In terms of PvE though, you are sort of sport for choice. A personal favourite of mine is something like Grave Robber and even 1-2 Punch, which is perfect if you're pairing that with an Arcstrider Hunter. Now, Grave Robber is where melee final blows reload that weapon's magazine from reserves, and 1-2 punch is where hitting an enemy with every pellet in the shot increases melee damage for a short duration. So with that increased melee damage, if you can get a final blow, this will reload the shotgun from reserves, putting you back into the thick of the action as soon as possible. It's a great perk synergy and works really well if you find yourself in the thick of the action. Other possible alternatives though are things like Threat Detector, which increases your reload stability and handling when enemies are in close proximity, or once again Surplus, which does the same thing as long as you have fully charged abilities. So whilst aggressive frame shotguns aren't as strong as they used to be, especially when it comes to Crucible, there are some great perks on offer both for PvE and PvP. So if you'd like to jump into the Crucible or just a Vanguard playlist, be sure to seek out a great role on the Sudden Death, and if you have any recommendations for your god role, be sure to sound off down in the comments below. Now the next Trials weapon we're taking a look at is the Last Breath. This is a legendary kinetic auto rifle, and this is an adaptive frame, so it's got a well-rounded grip, is reliable and sturdy, and this one fires at 600 rounds per minute. Now we don't have too many 600 RPM auto rifles that are kinetic, with the only other 600 RPM kinetic auto rifle being the Skye, which was also introduced this season. Now in terms of base weapon stats, this actually has one of the biggest infantry stats for an auto rifle with 43 rounds in the magazine. And to go alongside this, it also has one of the highest handling stats of 70 in the entire archetype. So the base weapon for the Last Breath is a very strong one indeed, setting it up for success when it comes to choosing the right perks. Now much like the Sudden Death, there is a great choice of perks on offer which can both lead into PvP and PvE. Now in the third column you have a choice of Demolitionist, Killing Wind, Ensemble, which is a new perk introduced this season which improves your handling and reload speed when allies are nearby, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Subsistence, and also Slide Shot. And in the fourth column you have a choice between Osmosis, Adrenaline Junkie, Frenzy, One for All, Rangefinder, and Adagio, which is once again a new perk introduced this season, and this is where after defeating a target this weapon fires more slowly and deals increased damage for a brief time. Now if you're looking for an auto rifle to tear it up in PvE, especially as these are now the anti-barrier weapon for this season, then Ricochet Rounds is a fantastic start. It boosts that range stat by +5 and that stability by +10, helping to improve its stability stat and making it one of the highest in the archetype. Now a great perk in the third column is Subsistence. This is where defeating a target partially reloads the magazine from reserves, but because this weapon fires primary ammo, you have infinite reserves, meaning as long as you can defeat your target, you can hold down that trigger and fire to your heart's content. So it's with that in mind, we need to find a perk to help improve our damage to make sure we can defeat combatants as efficiently as possible. And the top tier choice here is Frenzy, and this is where being in combat for an extended time will increase your weapon's damage, improve its handling and reload speed until you're out of combat. So when you find yourself in the thick of the action, the weapon will just deal more damage, and as long as you're defeating your combatants, then you'll have infinite ammo reserves and the weapon will automatically reload from those reserves too. It's a perfect combination and is absolutely deadly out on the battlefield. If you're looking for something to roll out inside the Crucible, then alongside Ricochet Rounds you could be looking for something like Killing Wind or even Slide Shot, and maybe even Rangefinder to improve the weapon's effective range. Now if you find yourself on console though and want to improve its stability further, then Dynamic Sway Reduction is a great choice too. This helps improve its accuracy and stability while continuously holding down the trigger. So whilst we have some additional controller options this season, then Dynamic Sway Reduction is a great alternative to Killing Wind too. All in all, there are some fantastic perk combinations available on this weapon, making it a very strong kinetic auto rifle indeed. So if you haven't got your hands on this auto rifle just yet, be sure to jump into the Prophecy Dungeon to get your chance. Now the next Trials weapon we're going to take a look at is the Long Walk. This is a legendary energy sniper rifle which deals solar damage, and this one is an aggressive frame which deals high damage and has high recoil. It fires at 72 rounds per minute and has 3 rounds in the magazine. Now in terms of base weapon stats, these are fairly average across the board, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing as this is the only solar aggressive frame sniper rifle in the energy slot. Now in terms of main weapon perks, it can roll with Slide Shot, Outlaw, Clown Cartridge, Killing Wind, Overflow and Ensemble in the third column. And in the final column you have a choice between Quick Draw, Adrenaline Junkie, Firing Line, which is where the weapon deals increased precision damage when near 2 or more allies, Frenzy, Snapshot Sights, and Moving Target. There are some great perks on offer, once again both for PvP and PvE. Now if we start off with PvE, sadly this sniper rifle doesn't roll with Tactical Mag, so its best alternative is a Pending Mag, which improves its magazine size by +20. In terms of main legendary traits, a couple of great choices are either Overflow, where picking up special or heavy ammo will reload that weapon beyond its normal capacity, or even Cloud Cartridge, where reloading the weapon will randomly overfill it from reserves. It helps to boost its magazine size from only 3, and as it's an aggressive frame, it will help improve its overall damage output in any activity. Now in terms of perfect partners, you could roll with either Frenzy or my personal favourite, which is Firing Line, which we haven't seen on a sniper rifle in quite some time. Now this perk is great if you find yourself running in fire teams, especially for end game pieces of content. It will mean your sniper rifle will have a passive buff to its damage output as long as you stay fairly close to your fire team. But with that being said, if you like to roll solo, then Frenzy and even Adrenaline Junkie are other possible choices. Now in terms of the Crucible, you could choose Appended Mag or even Ricochet rounds once again. In terms of main legendary traits, you could either go with Outlaw, where precision kills will greatly decrease your reload time, or my preferred choice, which is Slide Shot, where sliding partially reloads the weapon's magazine and will temporarily boost its range and stability. Now any boost to range on a sniper rifle will help increase its aim assist slightly for a short time, but may be difficult more this season with the changes to sliding inside the Crucible. Great partners to this though are either Snapshot Sights, where you get faster time to aim down sights, Quick Draw, where the weapon can be drawn unbelievably fast, and maybe even Moving Target, which increases your movement speed and your target acquisition when you're moving and aiming down sights. All three of those are great choices, but my personal preference would be Snapshot Sights, making this a hard-hitting, snappy sniper rifle that you need for the Crucible. Now, as with all the Trials weapons we've covered so far, there are some great perk combinations on offer. So if you have a role recommendation that you think really shines, be sure to sound off down in the comments below. Now, the next weapon we're taking a look at is the Judgment. This is a legendary kinetic hand cannon, which is an adaptive frame, so it has a well-rounded grip, is reliable and sturdy. As a result, it's 140 rounds per minute, and finds itself with 9 in the magazine. Now in terms of base weapon stats, it finds itself fairly average across the board. The strongest 140 RPM hand cannons statistically are Palindrome and Fatebringer. However, with that being said, this has some unique perks available on it, which makes it stand out on its own, alongside the fact this is the only legendary kinetic hand cannon that's 140 rounds per minute. Now in terms of those legendary traits, you have a choice of Ensemble, a new perk called Encore, where precision final blows grant a stacking range bonus to that weapon, with non-precision final blows removing range stacks but granting bonus accuracy and stability when all stacks have been removed. This is alongside Demolitionist, Tunnel Vision, Moving Target, and also Slide Shot. And in the final column we have Adagio once again, where after defeating a target the weapon fires more slowly and deals increased damage for a brief time. You'll find this alongside Timed Payload, Adrenaline Junkie, Multi-Kill Clip, Osmosis, and also Opening Shot. Now out of all the Trials weapons that we're covering in this video, this one has the most new perks that were introduced in Season 15. And unsurprisingly, it's a combination of those perks that make this one of the best rolls available on this weapon. Now with the Judgment having a range stat of +50, Accurized Rounds is the preferred magazine choice. This will provide +10 to that overall range stat, making it more effective at greater ranges. In terms of absolute god roll though, Encore is where you want to start. This is where precision final blows will grant a stacking range bonus, and for any non-precision final blows, whilst it will remove those stacks, it will grant bonus accuracy and stability instead. So whether you're hitting your shots or not, there's always a passive bonus being applied to the Judgment hand cannon. And the perfect partner to Encore is Adagio. Whilst Encore provides boost to your range stat for precision final blows, after defeating a target, it will also reduce its rate of fire and help it deal increased damage for a brief time. Now when Adagio is active, Judgment feels like the old 110 RPM hand cannons and hits real hard for a kinetic weapon. And when you consider any boost to your damage will also be paired with Encore, which is likely providing a boost to your range, it makes it a very sticky weapon to use indeed. A great synergy between two brand new perks, and it's most definitely the standout role that you should be seeking out. Other great choices though are things like Tunnel Vision, where reloading after defeating a target will greatly increase your target acquisition, as well as aiming down sights for a short duration. And in the final column, some great choices are things like Timed Payload and even Opening Shot, which will improve your accuracy and range on the opening shot of attack. As we've mentioned previously in this video, there are some great perk combinations on offer, pretty much allowing any Guardian with any type of playstyle to find their own god role. But once again, if you have a god roll that you feel really stands out and likes to shine, be sure to sound off down in the comments below. Now the final weapon we're taking a look at is the Darkest Before. This is a legendary energy pulse rifle that deals arc damage. This one is rapid fire frame, so has deeper ammo reserves and a slightly faster reload when your magazine is empty. As a rapid fire frame, it fires at 540 rounds per minute and has 36 rounds in a magazine. Now there aren't too many rapid frame arc pulses in the game, with Horror's Least being the only other alternative. Now in terms of base weapon stats, this finds itself pretty average across the board, matching most other weapons in that archetype. Now in terms of those legendary traits, in the third column it can roll with Tunnel Vision, Surplus, Overflow, Slide Shot, Subsistence, and also Quick Draw. And in the final column you have a choice between Full Auto Trigger System, One for All, Elemental Capacitor, Unrelenting, Wellspring, and also Rampage. Now rapid fire frames are incredibly strong and often catch Guardians out, especially inside the Crucible. Now something that really helps Darkest Before Shine is the fact that this can roll with Rampage, and this is where kills with the weapon will temporarily grant increased damage. And when you stack that on the fact this is a rapid fire frame that fires at 540 rounds per minute, its time to kill drops substantially once you have that perk active. Now a perk that you can roll on this to make it even harder for enemies to fire back is High Caliber Rounds. This is where shots with the weapon knock back the target further, as well as slightly boosting the range on the weapon by +5. High caliber rounds on rapid fire frame pulses is deadly, especially inside the Crucible. If you pair that with Rampage, maybe even Quick Draw, you have a very snappy and powerful pulse, which can literally melt through enemies inside the Crucible. Other great alternatives to high caliber rounds is once again Ricochet rounds, continuing to provide that +5 on the range, as well as boosting the stability on the weapon by +10. Overflow is once again another great choice, and maybe even Full Auto Trigger System to ensure you're firing at the optimal rate of fire. But if you're looking for a rapid fire frame to use in PvE, then once again this can roll with Subsistence and pairs perfectly once again with Rampage. And as this weapon uses primary ammo, whenever you defeat a target which will reload the magazine from reserves, you have an infinite amount of reserves available to you, allowing you to keep up Rampage ×3 for longer periods of time, especially when you add the Rampage spec mod too. Those are all deadly perk combinations that make this one of the most deadly rapid fire frame pulses in the game. So there we have it guys, a good look at all the new Trials of the 9 weapons reintroduced in Season 15. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out one of the 2 videos you see here in these cards for more Destiny 2 content. And if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump back into the game as always guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.